This session is very important, and it talks about globalization's conundrum, issues and realities. As both of you know, that our first session was 2011, Boston, and then second one was San Francisco, 2012, and the third one we did that. That is here, and next year we have elections. So most probably by the end of elections or maybe after next year, hopefully, and we will have another one. Because the world scene is changing very fast. So I came up with this idea. We had these 3 to 4 seminars in our university. I invited speakers from others. So this is where I'm going to talk about it. But very quickly, let me share with you. I normally collect these, and you may have seen it. This is Economist, 2013. Greg Ip wrote it. He's the chief economist, economic writer for Wall Street Journal. He always writes on page number 2. And then we have, this was published in 1975. I made it in our library, Issues of Capitalism. So the topic is not new. It had been discussed thoroughly. This one is, this came out to be unique. This was September 18, and the whole newspaper was about capitalism, time for a recess. Martin Wolf, the number 2 man and FT, he wrote a wonderful piece, and the title of that piece is Saving Capitalism from Rentiers. Excellent piece. If you have the time, read it. And then I have one more to show you. This one was Wall Street Journal Outlook for 2019, and it just came out this year. So basically, there is no shortage of literature. The shortage is that there are too many developments going on. So we did not want to discuss the good things of globalization, but I just wanted to discuss how things happen. And so if we look at the issues of conundrum, we have many examples and many definitions. And so let's see if I can go back. So brief history is 5 types. We have ancient order, archaic, globalization 1650. Proto-globalization, that is, it goes back to the British East India Company. In fact, a lot of new literature is even coming out. It's amazing. So many books have been written, and the way things go on. One book I would like to cite is William Dalrymple. He's an Oxford graduate. I have bought all his books, and it just a new book came out on the British East India Company. People are still writing about it. Anarchy, and he is very much in favor of South Asia. He doesn't like he likes his home country, but that era he does not like. So this is a wonderful globalization. In those days, it used to take 1 year to have a ship coming from London or other places to India. So it was a long. So these are the different stages of globalization. And brief history, I would like to show you. Again, we don't want to talk about Muslims. It's a different topic, but I just put it down. A British East India Company, that's a very big part of globalization. And the way we have some of the things, it goes back. If you look at the Indian bureaucracy, Pakistani bureaucracy, all over Africa, many countries, the structure is still very solid. But in terms of, they still follow English system. And some of the things are still not working. And then we have today's globalization. It's very complex. Multi-industry, new models, efficient supply chain, middle class, highly successful niche companies. Even in the last 7-8 years, the last one has changed very fast. And then I will go back what happened in 2008 when we did this seminar in 11, and then after that and this one. At that time we did not have 2008 and after effects. But if you look at the data which came out after a few years, actually 15 trillion disappeared. And the role of the state and private sector. But in the last 5-6 years, there is a new issues coming up, FANGs and bats. And FANGs are very big topic. Facebook, Amazon, Apple, and then we have Google, and then bats are Baidu, Alibaba, and Tencent. So these companies have changed the whole structure. So that's still very important part of globalization. What are the other issues? Highly inequality. This is a very big issue. In fact, a few years ago they gave a Nobel Prize to one of the academicians from England, and basically inequality is a very big issue. Every time when we go to Walmart, normally we don't look at what people buy, but consider looking at some of the things people are buying. It's not good. Why? People can't afford it. And that is, middle class is kind of not disappearing, but kind of going down. And it's a very big topic in the US. In other countries, it may be different. Unequal power relation, cultural economy, and then we have uneven process. Let's see. So did it disappear? Okay. I think I messed up something. So when you look at what I do is I'm going to read my notes and we can't go back. So basically everything is in that. But I had a lot of literature in this area collected in the last, especially 15 years. And I visited some of the literature. But if we look at the last page, and that is the new literature I have. In fact, if we look at the orientation of globalization, so I'm looking at on page 11, and basically these are some of the authors I came across, and I just looked at their platform. Anthony Giddens, Martin Wolf, Thomas Friedman, Joseph Stiglitz, Jagdish Bhagwati, Paul Krugman, Danny Roderick. He was at the AIB a few years ago. Manuel Castells, David Held, Anthony McGrew, Kenichi Ome. I mean, up to Jim O'Neill, who used to work for, I believe, Goldman Sachs. So this is their main platform. But the last page of my presentation, and I talked about in 2011 and 12 different new books, but the last page, which is 16, it talks about so what's happening in these days in the last few years. And these are the books I came across, and some of the articles which I believe are very much part of today, but we are discussing globalization. House of Debt, Mia and Sufi, it's amazing. They have a pretty good data. That book also made it to the top FT books a few years ago. Scale has a very good book. The Leveling came out a few months ago. The Great Convergence, Globalization, FT, Time of Reset, which I just discussed. Renewing the Rules of Good Behavior, Age of Deglobalization, FT. And then Michael Witt, I believe, he wrote a piece in JIBS, came out a few months ago. And the last three books are very interesting. I have these, and these talk about the same issue. The Narrow Corridor, Acemoglu, United States versus Apple. It just came out a few weeks ago. I already bought it thanks to Amazon. It just came in the mail 2 days ago. And it talks about the way United States government is going after Apple, and they had all the problems, books, electronic. And another one, the favorite one which I'm reading right now, The Great Reversal, Philippon. Thomas Philippon is a French man. He teaches at MIT, and he's an economist. And he talked about the way big companies are monopolizing, and that's where it's affecting consumers. Prices are very high. For example, we have a landline and we pay $80. We don't even use it. And if you look at your telephones compared to India, Pakistan, especially Pakistan, our telephones are dirt cheap and the rates are very, very low. So how come we have so high? So he made an argument that there's a very big monopoly kind of a deal going on, although some people don't agree with him. But the book is one of the best-selling books now. It's just published by Harvard University Press. Not Business Press, Harvard University. So these are some of the things which we are going to discuss. And my end of my story is globalization is not going anywhere. In fact, I had one slide which I can't get to. Ecosystem of globalization, and I am doing a study on, there's a city in Pakistan right next to the Kashmir border. It's called Sialkot. All the squash rackets, all the squash rackets, all the baseball bats, cricket bats, balls, baseball gloves, they are made in that city, and it's more than 100 years. I mean, and then the suppliers are even sitting in Australia and England. So those days are gone. You used to go and buy. They have their own deal, but the city is solid. They build their own airport. So the point I'm making is globalization is not going to go away. I think it's just a big hype that there are things which will change and will be changing, no doubt. But the solid model, the platform is still very strong. But there will be some changes. IMF is not going anywhere, World Bank is not going anywhere, but there are some problems. And the problems are, Pakistan is already 2.8 now, growth rate. It used to be 5%. India was 6-7%. They have gone down. So there are a lot of things to be done, but in higher education especially, it's also helping, affecting big time, as we were discussing yesterday, the online teaching and the business models are changing. But in Pakistan, I go every year, I see a lot of changes. And two more things, last thing, CPEC, China-Pakistan Economic Corridor. We took a trip this year and last year. You cannot believe how many roads have been built by China. I mean, up to Gwadar, India, Arabian Sea, and it's all done. Amazing thing is because China is invested about $25+ billion, and most of it is infrastructure and electricity. So that is another side of globalization which people are not paying. But Belt and Road Initiative, BRI, very big investment in Africa. So all these changes are happening in front of us. So this is a different type of globalization. When Jagdish Bhagwati and all these guys wrote books and Stiglitz, at that time we did not have that. This is a different type of globalization which we are witnessing, and that's why I brought you gentlemen here. So I thought maybe we will discuss these things. I wish we had more people today sitting here, but it is just sometimes...
the most important ones.
Yeah, it's, I mean, they are missing a lot, but topic is hot. And it's not disappearing. And so super connectors like they built Dubai and Abu Dhabi and all these airports. Now, and I did a piece on that, but now we talk about direct connectors. You don't need a big Dubai airport. They already have London and Sydney flights. They are already testing it 19+ hours. And so jumbo jets are there. So this is a different type of globalization which I believe we need to discuss more often, and more, universities and disciplines need to discuss it. And finally, I quoted our distinguished colleague Terry Clark. He had a wonderful issue in Journal of International Management, and we had wonderful discussion. It was in, I think, early 2000. And a lot of people also wrote about it, and so that kind of discussion we needed. And you made a good comment that disciplinary, they hide in their, different cubby holes. They need to go more often. So I'm a strong believer in multidisciplinary research. So that's why I go beyond my discipline to seek out more opportunities. So that's my talk.